Samadhi is not trance. The word samadhi in Indian philosophy denotes a transcendental state of super consciousness in which a person goes beyond the barriers of his or her normal cognition based on the psychophysical mechanism. Samadhi is often translated using words such as trance, hypnotic state, or altered state of consciousness. Trance is defined as a half-conscious state characterized by a dazed condition or absence of response to external stimuli, typically induced by hypnosis or drugs. Samadhi is the very antithesis of trance. It is an elevated state of consciousness in which a person's awareness is beyond the ken of the wakeful state. Samadhi transcends the limitation of space-time and makes accessible the sensorial and the supersensorial realities of the present, past, as well as the future. In Samadhi state, a yogi gains knowledge of the principles underlying and controlling the harmony of the cosmos called Ritambhara Prajna. The word Samadhi is derived from the Sanskrit root dha by adding the prefixes sam and a. The root dha means to fix or concentrate, and sam denotes complete or perfect. Samadhi brings together all the dissipated and scattered forces of manas. It is attained by intense contemplation on an object and is a state where the sadhaka, the object of his contemplation, and the act of contemplation lose their distinctions. Thus, in the state of Samadhi, all the fluctuating mental states, chitta-vrittis, become still. The Yoga Sutras mention several Samadhi states which are broadly classified into Sabija Samadhi and Nirbija Samadhi. Sabija Samadhi is attained by concentrating the chitta on some object or idea such as mantra or a sound or light. In Nirbija Samadhi, there is no object before consciousness and the ego gets completely dissolved. Patanjali Maharshi speaks of a very important method in yoga sadhana called samyama, which is the simultaneous application of the last three yogic states of dharana, dhyana, and samadhi on an object. During samyama, a sadhaka enters into the state of samadhi while retaining full awareness of the external world. When the object of samyama is Ishvara, it leads to emancipation and unlimited ananda for a sadhaka. Similarly, the performance of samyama on the sun gives knowledge of the different realms of the entire universe or cosmos. Thus, samadhi is an extremely consummated and accomplished state and cannot simply be called trance. Nobody in a bewildered and confused state of trance can attain knowledge of the entire cosmos. Samadhi gives a yogi mastery and control over the forces of nature which cannot be induced by drugs or hypnotism as in the state of trance. Trance is merely a tamasika state with a distorted vision of reality, often accompanied by a false sense of joy or exhilaration. A person in a trance suffers from an undisciplined and deluded mind with which it is impossible to attain any higher state of realization. A person goes into a drug-induced trance to escape the worldly reality, whereas a yogi goes into samadhi to rejuvenate and re-engage with worldly reality. A person becomes capable of achieving samadhi only after a highly disciplined life of sadhana. There are no shortcuts such as drugs or hypnotism for attaining samadhi.